Hello, my name's Richard Felix, and I'm in Essex. Now in Graveyard, Borley Churchyard. I'm standing on one of the most famous haunted sites in the whole world. Now, this is a scoop of a lifetime for me, because I'm actually inside Chelmsford Prison.
This is the 1822 part of the jail, Richard. It's now down in the dungeons. Here we go.
Listen to that. This place takes finding that I'm actually in the ruins of Burley Church.
Is that there? Is that there? Oh God, the torch has gone out.
Just up the road here on the left-hand side, the site of the most haunted house in England, Borley Rectory. I cannot believe that I'm doing this. I'm in the middle of Epping Forest. Hello, my name's Richard Felix, and I'm here in Essex, probably the most haunted county in Great Britain. When you think that this is the home of Dick Turpin, Matthew Hopkins, the Witchfinder General, and also the witch capital of England, then no wonder this county is so haunted. So why not turn down those lights, settle back, and let me take you on a tour of haunted Essex. You know, there's more things on heaven and earth than we realise. I was sitting here doing the introduction to Essex Ghosts, and lo and behold, Robin from Haunted Essex walks by. He knows far more about the ghosts of the Shire Hall than I do. So you actually get in there, Robin, do you, and do investigations?
Yeah, I mean, luckily we've got a good contact that is part of our group, that we get access to the property, and we've done 3 investigations there in the last year.
And is it haunted?
Very much so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, when I think back to some of the things, I mean, there's a lot of history associated with that building. I think, as you know, it was built in 1790. There's quite a famous incident that happened, I think, in around 1933 on the ballroom, which is the middle level where you've got the curtains.
Right.
There was a lady dancing, I think it was 33 or 36, I'm not sure. And her dress, she had a specific type of dress, and it caught fire. It was like an internal combustion.
Spontaneous combustion, yeah.
They never did get to the bottom of it. I myself have experienced sort of a feeling of strong heat on that level when we've been up there. So she's definitely still walking around.
Wow.
People have seen her on the steps there leading into the building, because it's now used as a magistrate's court.
Yes.
We've done 3 investigations. We did 2 as Haunted Essex and 1 with a group from in the north called White Rose Paranormal. And you've got under here, you've got the cells there, you've got a tunnel under the road that leads to the hothouse, which is now a bar.
That was a police station, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a police station, yeah. And in fact, if you go down there, you'll see the windows have got the old filled glass, just like you have in a cell.
Now, tell me something. Obviously murder trials, a number of tormented souls that must still be in the video. But what about, because obviously Chelmsford and Essex is extremely famous for its witch trials, Matthew Hopkins. Were they tried and executed around here?
Well, it's believed that this actual area going behind the building to behind there, it's known as Tyndall Square and Tyndall Street. It's believed that the trials occurred in the square prior to the Shire Hall being in place. According to our records, there's always been trials occurring on this site to do with crime.
Yeah. Chelmsford obviously was the assize town.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's believed that that happened publicly out in the streets.
I see.
So people could flog or mock the people
Yeah.
that were actually...
And again, they say that the ghosts of some of the witches that were accused, tortured, and of course executed, still haunt the place.
Yes.
But you see, I don't believe that there were witches.
No.
And I believe that, in fact, the problem is that these poor old ladies, some of them in their 80s, dreadfully tortured and, of course, hanged. We didn't burn witches in England, we only hanged them. But these poor old ladies have probably become extremely angry after death, hence the fact they still haunt the area around.
And there was some male witches as well.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, on our investigations, we've had experiences happen to us in the actual cells there. It's believed that a man was hung in one of the cells in there. We've also had people pushed around in a basement room down there, strange noises. We've also picked up EVP referring to one of the group members' names.
Your group member?
Yes, yeah,
wow.
One of our group members' name was mentioned on the EVP. Which is, you know, obviously quite special because you get some form of interaction.
That is amazing. So, the Shire Hall's definitely haunted?
Yes, without doubt.
You're real, you're not a ghost? Because the fact that you just happened to walk by then that's more than coincidence. Robin, thank you very much. Nice to have met you. Thank you. Just next to the Shire Hall is the Saracen's Head Hotel, one of the oldest buildings in the centre of Chelmsford, and an old coaching inn. A terrible tragedy occurred here in 1887 when the Chief Constable of Essex, Major William Henry Points, was driving a pony and trap down High Street. He was accompanied by a Colonel Cobb, who was a government official. As they were coming down the street here, for some reason the horse bolted. Colonel Cobb was thrown out of the vehicle and severely injured. The horse dragged a lady called Mrs. Garmett and her niece, Miss Remnant, along with it, all the way to this archway here underneath the coaching inn. It dragged them inside and only stopped when the horse collided with another pony and trap inside. People rushed out to help them. Colonel Cobb was brought inside, had severe head injuries. Miss Remnant had very, very bad leg injuries. But unfortunately, Mrs. Garmett died an hour later in the yard, even though she had medical attention. Unfortunately, the Chief Constable never got over it, and a year later he handed in his resignation. The pub has always been haunted. There's the ghost of a lady that wanders around various parts of the building. The cellars are haunted, and members of staff don't like going down there alone. They see figures out of the corner of their eyes. The corridors are also haunted by this lady, and they never knew who she was. I've come along today with this story, and if you like, possibly laid the ghost to rest, because no one knew who it was. I believe that the ghost that still haunts the Saracen's Head to this day is no less than the ghost of that poor old lady who died here in 1887. Now, this is a scoop of a lifetime for me, because I'm actually inside Chelmsford Prison. With me are Mick and Colin, two prison officers who are really interested in the history of the building. Now, I'm right, its anniversary is coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the 185th anniversary this year. 1822 is when the actual prison was commissioned. January 1822 was when they actually said, yes, we'll build a prison to take over the overcrowding of Moultrie Jail, which is in the middle of town centre down in Chelmsford.
And you actually, well, taken the afternoon off to show me around the prison.
Yeah.
So come on, gentlemen, without further ado, take me round. It is haunted, isn't it? So, Colin, we're actually coming up to your 185th anniversary, aren't we?
Yes.
So, was there a prison on this site before, or?
This originally was the Springfield County Jail, a much smaller prison than it is at the moment. The first brick was laid in 1822, and it was finished in 1828. The buildings we see around us are original 1822 stroke 18.
That building at the back there?
That building there, one of the original wards.
Wow.
This one behind us was the original debtors' ward.
Yeah.
It was originally 3 stories high. It's been cut down over the years to a single story. later used for the execution shed.
I thought so. Yeah, it looks like one, because
does.
I've got one at Derby.
And behind us we have the original governor's residence. The governor at the time used to live within the prison. It was part of his contract.
I see. So it's almost in the centre, I presume. Or?
It would have been, this would have been the centre with 7 wings radiating around like the spokes of a wheel.
Oh, I see. Right. And is it, come on, is it haunted?
There have been several stories about children dancing and giggling and playing ring-a-ring-a-roses within the prison.
Right.
We would believe these would be the second governor who lived here in 1862. He had 3 children who died.
That was his house?
That was his house.
Right.
2 children died whilst he was still living in this particular house. He later lost a 3rd child at the age of 10, and he lost his wife as well. But that was after they moved to another purpose-built governor's residence outside the main walls.
Right. And so, I mean, how did they died of, I presume, disease, was it, in those days? Or?
William, he was aged 7. He contracted diphtheria and died 8 days later. He died on the 2nd of August 1862. His sister, Anne, died 13 days after contracting diphtheria. She died on the 15th of August 1862. They moved out while the place was fumigated.
Yes.
When they moved back in, they'd only been living here for 2 weeks, and they lost their 3rd child, Mary Ann. She was aged 5, but she died of scarlet fever, and she died on the 1st of October 1862. Then, because of the deaths, they moved out to a new quarters. But unfortunately, the tragedy didn't finish there, because the wife died at the age of 47. She died only 6 years after the deaths of her children. And then 3 years further on, their other child, aged 10, died in 1871.
Good God. So the governor lost everybody?
Everybody.
His whole family?
He carried on living and died at the ripe old age of 80.
Wow.
But he lost
All
his
alone.
entire family. They're buried in the Holy Trinity churchyard, which is adjacent to the prison wall.
Good grief.
So that may be why they're still around the prison. We've had many sightings of, not sightings, except for one, someone describing it as seeing a shadow pass across behind them. That the belt has come undone on one of the officers' trousers, and the children were heard to be giggling when this happened.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. So, and, I mean, does it centre around the governor's house, or are they seen and heard sort of
They're seen on some of the wings and on the central area as well.
Yeah. So they are, to be honest with you, the main ghosts, if you like.
There've been a number of ghosts over the years. One officer reported being physically thrown out of an empty cell.
Wow.
There've been other reports of ghosts over the years.
Yeah, and there's a guy apparently that walks around, possibly a prison officer with an old lantern.
Yeah, and there's been reports of doors clanging that don't exist anymore.
Oh, really?
That existed up until the big fire of 1978.
Yeah, and there's something to do with keys. Or chains, isn't there? Or jangling and...
Yes, only the other day, in fact, it was a prisoner reported to me that every day it was keeping him awake. There was someone pacing up and down at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he was quite aware that he wasn't a member of staff, because it was. He described it as being integral to his cell.
Yes.
Which is where there used to be a passageway originally in 1822.
Oh, I see.
But the passageway is now gone, and it's being incorporated into the cell to make it bigger.
Yeah.
But people have, a prisoner reported seeing someone standing in the corner of his cell, which described one of the old turnkeys that you'd have got at the turn of the century.
Wow. And of course, behind us here, the old execution shed. And Mick was saying that when he first came, he remembers the beam still being...
Yes, and that was removed and was taken away to the National Prison Museum.
Really? And they say that they still see people, or someone, actually walking
up
or down the stairs.
I haven't heard of that.
Which, of course, you see, those stairs there would have actually been where the doctor and the executioner would, after an hour of the body hanging, down there, little step ladder, and then pull open the shirt of the deceased and pronounce them dead. And as Mick was saying, that people have actually reported a figure going down the stairs.
Yes.
So,
I'm only aware of some of the ghost stories, not all of them.
But in other words, we are talking of an extremely haunted prison, as I presume most are, to be honest. When you think
it's got a lot of history within the walls.
Yeah.
A lot of history.
A lot of death.
We've
torment.
We've had at least 3 sites for executions on top of
yes.
the old gate, down where our reception is, and,
Yes, yes.
and just behind us here.
Yeah.
So that's three areas of execution that I know of.
Yeah, exactly. Plus deaths within the prison as well. Suicides, of course.
Suicides, murders.
Yeah. Yes. Gosh. No wonder it's haunted.
Yes.
Colin, that's fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
Welcome.
Cheers.
This is the 1822 part of the jail, Richard. It's
Right.
it's now down in the dungeons. Here we go.
Listen to that. Cool, blimey. Now this is where it gets a bit dark, doesn't it?
It gets very dark. There's no lighting down here at all. It's all torches. It's all torches down
This
here.
is your worst night. You hate it here, don't you?
It's not nice. No one likes it down here. No one at all likes it down here. As you can see by the corridor, it's old. 1846 is this part of the building, and then
Right.
we're going to go down this corridor.
Yes.
And as you can see down there, dark again.
Yeah.
You're talking 1822. And this is where we feel as though there's someone standing there watching us all the time.
Wonderful. Take me in.
As you can see.
Great, look at that. Mick, we're actually underground now, in a cell that, well, as far as I'm concerned, resembles a Victorian condemned cell. I mean, do things happen here?
We've had some experiences down here. A majority of the experiences are actually out in the corridors. We're dating back to 1822 for this area of the prison.
Right.
We are getting experiences of when you walk past the corridors and that you can feel that there's a presence there. You can feel that there's, I think, is an old warder, jailer, you know, watching us constantly.
Really?
I don't know if it's whether it's going from what we class as the 1845 part of the jail to the 1822 part of the jail, but there is a corridor which separates both. And that's where we have the feelings. That's where a lot of staff are actually feeling.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, here, you know, I mean, I believe this could well be a condemned cell. It looks like it.
Yeah.
Old pictures I've seen.
There are pictures of it. I mean, the condemned cells from 1822, we have got 3 areas that we use for executions. 1822 was above the gate lodge, and then we went round to where our new reception area is, and there was an execution pit.
This is when they hang them privately, in fact.
Privately, yeah.
Behind
It was
the wall.
on the gate. It was, you know, for the public view.
Yeah.
Straight into, you know, down the reception. That was where the pit was, and then it was moved into where our debtors' wing was, which is a 3-storey building, into the end, you know, room. Which, you know, that's where I can remember the gallows being. You know, when I joined the job in 1990.
The beam was still there.
The beam was still there. It's been removed. It's now in a museum.
Good grief. And of course, that was like an execution room with a 12-foot drop underneath it.
Yeah.
And they went down stairs afterwards to
Down the stairs afterwards,
dead.
took the body out, and whatever that to do with it there. We did have a mortuary that was located in the jail. We don't know the exact position of it, but we know that it was existed because of maps and plans we've got of the jail. We don't know whether that was taken around there or whatever done. We're going back to 1822 again.
Of course, and then of course afterwards buried them up against the wall in a lime pit, didn't they?
In a lime pit. They was removed in 1953, the bodies, unfortunately, and placed in a churchyard, which we don't know the whereabouts of, but we know it's in London.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
Gosh. But you have actually experienced things through here.
We've experienced things. I've actually walked through there, like today. I don't like coming down here, especially at night. Sometimes you have to go down here at night by yourself because there's problems down here. There's just someone there. There's something there. Again, I don't know whether it's to do with the position of the corridor, going from 1846 back in time to 1822, or if there's someone standing there watching me.
Really?
But
again, when you think of the tormented souls that are probably still lingering around here, then there's no wonder that
exactly,
people experience it.
exactly, yeah, that's what it is. Plenty of photographs of old jailers. I mean, we've got images. We know of people walking around the jail. We've got the jailer that we know that walks around with a lantern around the yards doing his patrolling at night. Many officers have seen that.
Really?
Yeah, you know, and they'd have to come down here as well. And as you know, with the lanterns, they're all candle lit. They're old style lanterns.
Yeah. You won't get any of those these days,
No, and that's that.
Colin, just show him that picture.
Mick, do you have any idea who this is?
It's an old photograph of an old officer. No.
No idea who he is.
No idea who that
Because
is.
you're not going to, well, say you're not going to believe this. We've just Colin and I have just been back down into the dungeons where we did the filming because Julia left the clipboard, right? You remember I was talking to you earlier about the guy wandering around with the lantern, the prison officer, and I asked you, do you know who he is? That was lying on the floor.
It was lying on the floor by the bread oven.
Near the bread oven.
Now, I saw it and I said, oh, what's that doing? And I mean, we're talking not an old photo, it's a modern reproduction of an old prison officer from here.
Well, I can tell you the story of the bread oven, which is an officer by the name of Caleb Chaplin.
Right.
And that's the one that we was researching some time ago now, because we've got a book of names of all the officers going back to 1822. And the officer, Caleb Chaplin, was the bread. He made the bread and the beer.
You're joking.
For the prisoners.
Well, that was just in front of the bread ovens, lying on the floor.
If I could get a name to that photograph, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked.
That's amazing.
Because I know that Caleb Chaplin, he lived in Chelmsford, Springfield here.
So we actually need to see if anybody recognises that.
If anyone
see
can
if that's
recognise
Caleb
that
Chaplin.
photograph.
How about
That's
that?
spooky.
How's about that? That's gospel truth, isn't it? I mean, we're not setting anything up for anything.
No, that was just
That was lying on the floor. And it
away from
wasn't
the
there earlier when we went
No,
down there.
it wasn't.
Wow. Behind me is one of the largest and oldest castles in Great Britain, Colchester Castle. It's actually built on the foundations of a Roman temple, and it's haunted, otherwise I wouldn't be here. The main ghost, if you like, is the ghost of a young lad called James Parnell, who was born in East Retford in Nottinghamshire. He grew up during the turbulent times of the English Civil War, and many people in those days were very disaffected by religion. Living not far from Derby, where the Quaker movement started in 1650, James chose the Quaker movement for his religion, and he became a very, very good preacher, travelling the country. He was actually in Coggeshall, in Essex, and he heard that the local vicar was preparing a sermon condemning the Quaker movement. So James burst into the church and was arrested and tried for blasphemy. The jury were very concerned about finding him guilty, and all they did was found him guilty of writing a pamphlet, which was an offence in those days, and he was fined £40, which was a lot of money in those days. He refused to pay, and he was locked up here in Colchester Castle. Unfortunately, at the time, there was a very nasty jailer called Nicholas Roberts, who tried everything to break James's will. He locked him in a very tiny dungeon, actually in the walls of the castle, and tied a rope 12 feet high, which James had to climb every time he wanted to get any food. Eventually, poor James became much weaker, and one day climbing the rope, he fell and broke both legs. He refused all medical attention, and over a period of 3 months became weaker and weaker, until eventually he died on May the 12th, 1656. And they buried him in an unconsecrated grave somewhere in the grounds of Colchester Castle. And the thin, spindly wraith of that poor youth still wanders around the castle to this day. Some people say that they see him walking through a wall near to where his dungeon was. But unfortunately, I believe that lad still haunts the place because he was never given a proper burial. He was never given closure, if you like. And to this day, I believe he's still waiting for the decent burial from that God. There is another ghost here, the ghost of a cat. Apparently they have somewhere around here the oldest skeleton of a cat in Great Britain. And strangely enough, cats were introduced here by the Romans. Now, it's strange that you should see the ghost of a cat, because people say, well, animals don't have souls. When you think about it, the only ghostly animals that are ever reported are domestic animals. Dogs, horses, and of course cats. And here, in this castle, they have the oldest ghost cat in the whole of British Isles. I'm in Colchester. With me is Derek Ray. Derek, you very kindly volunteered to come and help me with my quest for ghosts, because you do the ghost walks.
I do the ghost tours of Colchester, and I'm very pleased to help you, Richard, because I'd like to be able to tell some people about just what a wonderful haunted town Colchester is.
I mean, it is the oldest recorded town in England.
It is indeed. And we've got some of the oldest ghosts as well.
And you've got something in this building here, which is the Red Lion.
Before we go in, just look at this marvellous carving.
I just can't believe the place. It's absolutely awesome.
An ancient medieval building, 1465. I tell you what, Richard, shall we just pop inside?
Oh, shall we just? Because I'm staying here tonight.
You are?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Room number 12.
Oh, well,
But, let's go in and have a look.
That could be scary there.
I know the bar's good. So,
right, so let's try that.
And there's lots of spirits behind the bar.
Ooh, that's just the place to go, a little cold night like this. And what do you think of this place, Richard?
I just can't believe it. I mean, it's like Lord Mayor of London's type stuff, isn't it?
1465. We're talking medieval, late medieval. These here,
yes.
Do you see this brace that goes between these studs here?
Yes,
That's this one over there.
Yeah, the bendy one.
This is a Colchester brace, only found in Colchester, half-timbered buildings in this area. It goes between two upright beams, but not to a main beam. You'll see one just up at the top there which expresses it very well.
That one up there?
That one up there.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So it's just to hold it together?
That's right. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Oh, I love the place.
1465. It was made for the then Constable of Colchester Castle. It was the biggest,
what this house was?
Biggest, most important private house in the town.
Really?
It's now been a hotel for over 500 years, of course.
Yeah, and of course, it's haunted.
It is indeed.
And I don't know whether you know this, but I'm staying here tonight.
Oh, what room have you got?
Well, I haven't got, because they tell me that room 10 is extremely
Is the most haunted, yes.
I've got just another room.
Another room.
12.
Oh, well, I think 10, 11, 12 are round about in that area.
Shall we go get a drink?
I think that's just the thing to do.
Well, cheers, Derek.
Cheers, Richard.
We're in certainly the most historic house in Colchester.
Yes.
Possibly not the most haunted, I presume.
There is a fine ghost here.
Right.
Of a chambermaid called Alice Catherine Miller. We know her name, we know how she died, where she died. She was most foully murdered here by a justice of the peace.
Wow.
In 1638.
Right.
And then her dead body was thrown out of the window onto the courtyard outside.
Literally outside here?
Just literally outside here, yeah.
Good God.
And since that time, her ghost has haunted the Red Lion. In fact, for over 250 years, as far as we can track it back, the management of this hotel was scared that wild stories about Alice Catherine Miller would scare off guests, would frighten off guests.
In fact, it used to do that years ago. People never mentioned the ghost stories about the haunted bedrooms.
Yeah, but they had a policy of instant dismissal on any member of staff who so much as mentioned the name Alice Catherine Miller.
So we're talking of a well-documented story that goes back hundreds of years.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. The staff here invented code words, the grey lady, the quiet lady. In fact, we've got a wonderful story, it just happened a few months ago, of a little boy playing at the table just underneath Alice's room. I would wonder if would you like to see that?
Oh, would I?
Shall we?
Yes, please. Come on then, we'll come back for the drinks in a minute.
Righty-ho. This way. What do you think of this place, Richard?
I can't believe it. It's so medieval.
Yep.
Look at this.
This was the banqueting hall of Sir John Howard.
Look at the beams. I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
And, of course, when it was built, it had one of these newfangled fireplace things in it as well.
Look at it. That's original.
I believe so.
Yeah, look at it.
And here is the secret room. That's the doorway that was discovered. That doorway there.
Yes.
1971.
So would there have been a ceiling or something up here? Another room? Another floor?
there would have been in the attic area up there
I
the
see.
rooms for the servants.
Gotcha.
And this would have been, it's called Alice's room. And Alice was a young chambermaid working here. In fact, just here, at this table here,
Yes?
just a few months ago, there was a little boy playing noisily here.
Yes?
And suddenly he went quiet. And his mother turned to him and said, "What's got into you?" And this little boy, he was only about 5 years old, he said, "The grey lady asked me to be quiet."
Oh, you're kidding.
Just here.
Wow.
And this was her room just right above us.
So the doorway was up there,
Yep.
literally here.
Just right above there, this would have been her bedroom. A small room, as you can see.
Yes, indeed.
And if we look over here at this mirror,
Yes.
sometimes you can just see Alice
Oh, yeah.
just at this mirror here.
Oh, God.
Is that her there?
Yes.
Is that there? Oh, God, the torch has gone out.
Oh, come off it.
Oh, God.
That's amazing. Is that why the mirror's up there, I presume?
Yep, that's why it's up there. They've got that figure up there to remind us of Alice
That is quite something.
sitting in her room.
And so she still haunts the place to this day?
She still haunts it. She's been seen many times throughout the centuries.
Yeah.
Just a few months ago, as I say,
Yeah, here,
the haunting here,
Yeah.
in this very room. And just about here, let's see if I can find it. Just about there, there's supposed to be a cold spot.
Right?
Try and feel, can you feel it just about there?
No. But then again, as I've told so many people, I'm a psychic brick. I don't sense things at all.
No?
No. Can't feel a
Just
thing.
move your hand about there. You think sure you'll find it. There's supposed to be a cold spot just about there. I sometimes can feel
No,
it.
can't feel it myself, but as I say, I'm so insensitive, strangely enough. So what about the haunted bedrooms? Because I mean, I know for a fact that room 10 is
the haunted
notoriously haunted, isn't
Yes.
it?
Well, these could have been the rooms that she had was particularly in charge of.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. She
Now-
was a chambermaid. It wasn't the nicest job in the world.
No, of course not.
It was cleaning out the chamber pots of all the guests that visited here.
Oh, of course, the
maybe
fireplaces and
Yes.
whatever. Yeah, changing the beds. Now I'm in room 12 tonight. I
Yeah.
hope there's nothing there because you do know I'm frightened of ghosts.
Is there a rocking chair in your room?
No.
No. There's. She's supposed to be very fond of rocking chairs.
Oh,
Where she just
really?
likes to sit in them and rock them of her own accord. An assistant manager here a few months back woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to see his rocking chair beside the bed, rocking to and fro, just on its own in an otherwise empty room.
Flipping heck. So Alice was probably sitting in it.
Well, he did say that she did appear,
Really?
and she did ask him how he felt. And when he said that he was all right, she said, "That's good," and just slowly disappeared, leaving the rocking chair still rocking on its own.
Fantastic.
A kind ghost,
Obviously.
not malevolent, but somebody who's supposed to be a good luck charm for this hotel.
Absolutely amazing. Derek, that is an amazing story. I'm
I'm very fond of Alice, let me tell you.
sure.
I'm very fond of her.
That is amazing.
One of my favourite ghosts
Yeah.
of Colchester.
Good story. Very, very nice story. Now, of course, you've got some more stories.
Yes.
Obviously, you do the ghost tour of Colchester
Right.
every Thursday night.
Every Thursday
moment.
night from the Colchester Town Hall, I'm there. Rain or shine, ghosts or slime, I'm ready to take the ghost tour right on
amazing.
time.
Fantastic.
So it's off there every Thursday night.
Yeah, and you're now going to take me out into Colchester, and we're going to have a look at some of your rather interesting ghost stories.
I'll be able to show you just a few of them.
Oh yeah.
Because here in Colchester we can take on any town or city in the land. We've got more ghosts than York, more stories than Edinburgh. We've got loads of them. So if you're ready, Richard,
I'm ready.
let's
Let's
go
go and do
see
it.
some
Come on, then.
ghosts. This was the Highwaymen's pub.
What?
The highwaymen would live and work from this pub. They would walk down these very steps here.
Crikey.
Just outside the front there is the main gate of Colchester in 1600s.
Right.
They would look out the windows, they'd see a likely mark with some gold in his pocket.
A fat
they'd
purse.
come down here, they'd get a crew here, ready for some business, boys. Out through that doorway out there, stabling for over 80 horses outside.
Good
Ride
grief.
off to do a bit of work on the Colchester to Chelmsford Road. This was highwaymen, we know their names, Thomas Wilmot, Frank Osborne, both of them hung, of course.
Yeah,
Both of them hung.
here at Chelmsford, or
One was hanged in London.
right?
So he played centre stage, West End at the time.
Gosh, yeah.
Right. The other one, I'm sorry to say, it's a bit sad for a highwayman, but he was hanged at Northampton.
Oh dear.
I mean, where's
No.
Northampton? Who cares?
God.
It's yes, they 1600s down those very stairs,
Oh, that's
looking
amazing.
around for a crew in this very room. That's excellent.
And how haunted is the place?
It's haunted. You're now in, Richard, at the scene of the most powerful manifestation in Colchester.
Oh my.
Here, the most recent manifestation in Colchester. The landlord and landlady, Jeff and Bev, they see, or rather what they say is they feel her presence all the time. They say it's like half a dozen children running wild throughout the building. And it's funny they should say that, because that's exactly what people throughout the centuries have said. I met somebody, a man who worked here in the 1950s, and he said to me, it's like half a dozen children. We've got it recorded 100 years ago. It's like half a dozen children. Things go missing here. They turn up at just different locations all the time.
Do we know who the ghost is?
Yeah. Her name was Sarah, and she was a chambermaid. I'll tell you, don't be a chambermaid in Colchester. It's a dangerous profession.
I know.
It's
I realise that.
amazing. We've got another chambermaid ghost as well in the Red Lion. But here, another chambermaid. And the interesting thing about it is two stories have passed down, almost parallel, through the people who work and live in this pub through the centuries. One is a most horrific story that involves Matthew Hopkins, the witch finder general of
Yes.
Essex.
Yeah.
It's said that he came a-hunting witches here and dragged that poor innocent girl. We're just talking about somebody who was about barely 15 years old. Dragged her down the stairs. He dragged her onto the cellar, which is just beneath our feet here, is the
Yes,
cellar.
yes.
And over here, underneath this seat here, there was a tunnel.
Right.
It's a tunnel that heads out, was said to head out to where the present-day Colchester police station is,
Oh.
which is haunted.
Yes,
by the
indeed.
way.
Yes. So I'm
And
told.
it says, hey,
And yet that's a modern police
that's a
station, isn't
modern
it?
police station, but it's built on an old pagan
I was going to say,
cemetery.
what was there before?
An old pagan cemetery and an early Christian cemetery, one of
Right.
the earliest Christian cemeteries in the country.
And of course, all those bones of bodies have been disturbed.
They
Yeah.
have been. Don't get arrested in Colchester. Don't spend the night in the cells here. The story is that she was chained to the wall in this tunnel and whipped in alive.
Good grief.
Can you think of a worse death?
No, no.
Isn't that horrific?
No,
Imagine
starved
being
to
in the
death,
blood.
yeah.
Young girl,
At 15.
years old. That's one story.
Yeah.
The other story is that she tripped and fell and broke her neck. Simple and
In the cellar? Or
No.
no?
just here,
Oh,
just here from this landing above me, there's a steep stairs.
Yeah.
It's almost like, and I'm still there.
All right.
Dates from the 1600s. Still there, and that goes up to the attic.
Yes, yes.
And the story is that she lit for work, tripped and fell,
Yeah.
broke her neck, died, and yet still full of life and
yeah.
energy
You see,
and
she
fun.
was only 15. She got the whole of her life ahead of her. And I presume to a certain extent she probably doesn't even know she's dead.
Well, quite frankly, the way she behaves, that's the story I believe. Because she's full of tricks, she's a prankster, she's a jokester. She likes playing tricks on people. She likes having a bit of fun. There's one chap here. When Jeff and Ben, they get on fine with her. That's excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
They
They
say-
live with her.
They live with her.
People do live with their ghosts.
They say that she's got as much right to be here,
Yeah.
if not a more right than themselves to be here. But last summer, they put a friend of theirs in charge of the pub when they were on holiday. A tough man, a hard man, an ex-member of Two Power.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But what I say is two para or not two para. He met his match when he met Sarah because she took an instant dislike to him. The first
Authorities, probably. Soldier?
Could be that. Maybe she'd have had time with a soldier in Colchester.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be the first girl that had that happen to her. It was, you know, they had in the 17th century where the Colchester soldiers wore bright red tunics.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
The girls were said to catch scarlet fever.
Love it.
Now that we've got two para in here, they catch paranoia.
Listen, Derek, I just have to turn to the camera and say, I think I've met my match. Because I think I've found someone that can talk about ghosts as much as me. Derek, you're fantastic. We've got other stories to tell, other places to go. So, and I must say that the beer here is also excellent.
Yeah.
So I think what we need to do now is to drink up and go to the next location.
Excellent. Let's do that.
Cheers.
And, of course, Richard, have a look here. What are we in? We're in one of the last existing 1450 lanes in this country.
Absolutely amazing.
Look at these higgledy-piggledy roofs.
I know, it's awesome.
Going up to the house above the gate.
Yes.
Now, that gate was built in 81,000. And the house above it would have been a shoemaker's shop. Because we know that the Shoemakers Guild were in charge of all the gates of Colchester. They lived there rent-free.
I did not know that, no.
Yeah, that's why I can put my hand on my heart and say with all honesty, the defences of Colchester were in the hands of a load of old cobblers.
Oh, I say, that is
And here I've got an interesting thing to show you.
Yeah, what about ghosts?
Well, down here, in this area around here, we have got 5 different first-floor ghost stories. We've got none on the ground floor, not one, but 5 different first-floor ghost
You
stories.
mean in the shops, houses around here?
Let me just... Shall I take you through them?
Yes, please.
There, in that window there,
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
the ghost of a woman called Madge.
Right.
More than that, I don't know.
No, but she's
She's
seen
still-
by members
still
of
looking-
staff that work there, I
Still
presume.
looking out the window. People walk past, see her looking out of the window. Just that window there.
Oh my God.
In there, which was the shoemaker's shop,
That one at the top.
that one there,
Yes,
that
indeed.
one, that one there,
Yes.
seen looking out of that window, a man who holds in one hand a shoemaker's hammer, and in his other hand he holds a shoemaker's last, and he wears a shoemaker's leather apron. Some people have thought that he might be a shoemaker. What do you think? That's possible. But you know how people jump to conclusions.
Yeah,
like this.
absolutely. But, I mean, so we don't know why he's there. Nobody knows.
Shoemaker shop, ghost of a shoemaker, that's all we know. Seen leering out of the window.
Amazing.
Across here, that's 2.
Yeah.
Across here in the Sheergate Hotel,
Yes.
what you're looking at there is a Victorian facade.
Right.
But inside there is one of the most ancient buildings in Colchester town.
Are you kidding?
That dates from 1300 inside.
That building itself.
That's right, that's just a facade that you see.
Wow.
And in that window there,
Middle window, yes.
the middle window, the ghost of a royalist soldier from the English Civil War who hanged himself over the love of a fair maiden.
Oh, I say.
Oh, those ladies, they do it to us all the time,
It's
Rich.
too right.
They do
I
it
mean,
to us all the
Did
time.
Colchester feature much in the English Civil
We had
War?
a
Was it under
major
siege,
we
or-
had a major siege here in
Was
1648.
it the Royalist town?
It was a Cromwellian town. It was a we hated the royalists here.
Really?
Oh, we would have snuck up behind them and tripped them up and
Yeah.
laughed. We hated the royalists
Probably
here.
what happened to him.
Well, that lady just must have really hurt him, you know.
Yeah.
They can
Well,
be so
I know.
cruel
And
sometimes.
what about? I mean, because it's a hotel.
It's a hotel now.
I mean, do people report seeing a figure inside
Yep,
the?
they do. They hear the
Really?
creaking of the rope, and some people have said that they've seen his boots shifting in the air, sometimes pointing north, sometimes pointing south, and the rope that he hanged himself with creaking.
Gosh.
Pretty good.
Oh,
I
yeah,
like it.
that's amazing. Very
Yeah.
good.
Here,
Yes. This is the.
it's
Brewer's
now the
Arms.
Brewer's Arms, but it used to be, in the time of this story, 1822,
Yes.
was known as Nutshell Hall.
Right.
Isn't that a lovely name for a
Amazing,
pub? It's
isn't it?
lovely.
Yeah.
And the ghost of a woman looking out of that window. In fact, I've got a photograph of the face of that woman. One of the people on my tour took a photograph.
You have an actual
Yes,
picture
I
taken
have.
by a group
That's right.
on a ghost walk.
That's right.
Wow.
And she's seen looking out of That
Middle
pane,
window,
that pane just there, in the window.
Again, don't know anything about her, or
We do know quite a bit about her.
Hmm?
What people say is that she's got a strange smile on her face, an enigmatic smile, like the Mona Lisa has.
Oh yeah.
That's Colchester's Mona Lisa.
Wow.
And 1822, the owner of Nutshell Hall died.
Yeah.
He left everything, not to his wife, but to his best barmaid.
Oh my gosh.
Right? I wonder why.
Yeah.
And there was a proviso in the will, there was a codicil in the will, that his wife was never ever to be allowed back on the premises.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I think that's his wife back on the
I think
premises
she'll come
there.
back.
Right?
Right.
Because I know that enigmatic smile those women have. That's
Yeah,
when they
beat him in the end.
they put that smile on their face when they're thinking this thought. In your dreams, pal. Keep me out of my house.
Absolutely. More?
Yep, there,
Oh,
our
gosh.
fifth one here. Oh, look, it's snowing, isn't that
Oh,
lovely?
it's wonderful. Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
so you can see the
This is
snow.
the vodka bar.
Yeah, Greenland's Vodka Bar.
Yeah.
On the first floor there
Yeah.
of this beautiful building,
Yes.
a woman who walks along,
Yeah.
but the floor itself cuts through her legs above the knees. She's seen gliding across the floor like that. People say that her gowns swirl around her. She glides across the floor.
Totally legless.
Yep. Greenland's Vodka Bar, where even the spirits are made legless. But that's what she is on the first floor.
Yeah.
5 here. There's another one up there on the first floor,
That's
making
fine,
6 in this area, but none on the ground floor.
No, isn't that? Do you think it's something to do with the fact that in olden days people lived up above on the first floor?
That could,
Storage down below, or animals even?
that
Not
could
in a town.
it could be. But then again, we don't know definitely.
No.
But it could just be one of those coincidences of
But
death.
something that's pretty unique to
Yeah.
Colchester.
Yeah. First floor ghost stories rule here.
Can't beat it. Fantastic.
We will take on any town in the country when it comes to first floor ghost stories, even Derby.
Absolutely.
Right, I've got another interesting one
Yes.
down here if you'd like to
Oh
see
yeah,
it.
come on then, let's go.
Right here.
Yeah, this way.
This way.
So Derek, we've moved literally outside the Roman walls.
Outside
a
the
bit
Roman
dark.
walls of
Hence
Colchester.
the fact we've gone into night vision. You've got more haunted pubs, in fact.
Do you see the Robin Hood over there?
Yes, indeed.
1935, a visitation from none other than Satan himself.
Good grief.
Seen walking up there, a tall dog-like figure, like a giant Alsatian, over 6 foot tall, but with the head of a goat and horned like a goat.
Joking.
No, recorded in the local papers. Many people saw it, including a young girl of 9 years old. A man in the bar died when the devil walked into that very pub there.
Good grief.
And here we have what is now Fulin's Chinese
Oh
restaurant.
yeah.
But look at the character of the roofs. It gives you some idea, Richard, just how old this building is.
Yeah.
First mentioned in the records of Colchester in 1728, when it was the Black Boy Inn.
Yeah.
1850 it changed its name to the British Lion.
Yeah.
It was the most notorious brothel. And
Right.
where we're now standing, which was the Colchester Red Light District.
Oh really?
Just here. Home of stews, bawdy houses, brothels and bordellos.
Wow.
If only you had a time machine when you need one.
Oh yes. Absolutely.
And the ghost that haunts this place
Yes.
is known as His Nibs,
Right.
and he's a bit of a pervert. When it comes to his manifestations, he likes to manifest himself upon those people who are sitting on the loo.
Oh, now listen, it's funny you should say that because, you know, although people don't talk about them, I'm a great believer in toilet ghosts. There are
Toilet
more
ghosts.
than people realise.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's to do with energy, strain, or just water, earth energy.
Yeah.
But bathrooms, wash houses, toilets are notorious for ghost stories.
Yes, we have another one here, and some people have talked about a lingering presence in the air. But I think that could be expected in coming near a toilet, don't you think,
You're
sir?
rolling right. Absolutely. But listen, I've come to Colchester. We're talking of one of the oldest cities
Yes.
in Great Britain. And we're standing right by. I can't
Look at
leave
these
this
Roman
place
walls. Yes.
without coming here and just touching the Roman wall at Colchester.
That's right.
I mean, this is pretty old, isn't it?
AD 68.
That's very early.
Yep. Older than the walls of Rome itself.
Oh, I can't believe it.
Yes.
That is quite...
It's here. What you're looking at there, that would have been an old scaffolding hole.
The hole, you see.
Yep. A beam would have come out of there,
yeah.
and then they would have built the scaffolding up above it.
This is for building it, or...
For building it, yes.
Wow.
And then that would have all been covered up. The beam was then sawed off, flush with that, and then on top of it would have been stone, and it was all whitewashed.
Yeah.
It must have been a brilliant sight to approach this on a sunny morning.
Yeah.
It must have been absolutely astounding.
What about ghosts of Roman soldiers? I mean, come on, this place was sacked by Boudica.
Yes. Yes.
Mass destruction.
Yes.
Thousands of Romans
yes.
and Romano-British people killed here.
Killed here. Burnt to death.
Yeah?
Yep.
Any stories?
There are a few, but not as many as you expect.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah, because a number of the Roman buildings have been destroyed. There's very little Roman remains.
Yeah.
We have got a pub, and in its cellar has seen a Roman ghost. Oh, right. And that pub is on the side of an old Roman garrison. For the people who used to patrol these walls, that's where the garrison was. Yeah. And there's a ghost in there, but outside of that, not many.
Really?
There are a few, though.
Yeah.
But they're difficult to find. But I think we'll find a few.
Right. We'd better go and have a look.
We'd better go and have a look.
Come on, then.
This way, please.